This is Travelcaster.
This is Travelcaster.
This is Travelcaster.
This is Travelcaster.
The travel pod that takes you there.
And in this season of the podcast, we're exploring northern Italy, basing ourselves in the city of Verona and travelling on to Lake Garda. Welcome to Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there. Now, regular listeners to the podcast will know that we are all about sustainability here at Travelcaster, but sometimes there are offers that just tempt you and they're too good to ignore, and that's what we've done today. Actually taken a flight from the UK here to Verona in Italy. It's taken us 2 hours. The return fare, £75. Of course, that's the basic fare without bags. If you want to add on bags, it's more or less double that price, but £150 is still a good deal. Now, arrival at Verona Airport is fairly straightforward. This is the first time that I have used the new EU entry system when arriving from the UK. It's a self-service passport machine. You scan your passport in the reader, it looks at your photo and lets you in. No fingerprints needed here, which is what you have to do at some destinations. And they're fairly well organised here at Verona Airport. It's only a small place, but we got through the security and the passport checks in less than 15 minutes from arrival. Now, Verona Airport is situated around about 8 kilometres from the city centre, and getting into town is really easy. All you do when you go through the customs hall is turn right. Verona Airport is really compact and it's really easy to find the bus stop outside. You'll often see a queue there. It's the 199 Airport Express and it's going to cost you €7 one way. Here's my tip though. Download the Verona travel app. Buy a 24-hour ticket because that's going to give you access to all of the buses for the rest of the day and the next day if you're staying overnight. It's valid for 24 hours from the first time that you validate it. That's the first time you get on the bus. Navigating Verona is fairly easy. The River Adige runs around it and through it. And from the southern end where the train station is to the northern end where I'm standing now is about a 50-minute walk. Although with the heat today, I have taken a bus because it's at this end of town that I want to start my journey. I'm standing over the river at the Ponte Pietra, which is the oldest in the city. It dates back to medieval times, and despite the traffic that you may be able to hear in the background, no traffic goes over here. And to the south of me is an archway leading into the main city of Verona. But to the north of me on the other side is something far more interesting that's going to give us an overview of this great city. And it's not too far. Come this way. Oh yes, it's a Travelcaster favourite. I found a funicular, this one going up to Castle San Pietro. It's only €3 return. As take that said, or maybe Tavares depending on your age, it only takes a minute to get up the funicular to here, the top of St Peter's Hill, and behind me St Peter's Castle, an impressive modern looking structure. Although it's closed at the moment for renovations, they're turning it into a major museum. But from here, looking out over the parapet, you can see the old bridge that I was standing on just a few minutes ago, and across the river, the Duomo, the main cathedral of Verona, with its impressive white tower. And beyond that, the historical centre. I can see one of the biggest sites of this city before me that I'm going to explore a bit later, and I'll explain more a little bit later. But the rooftops of the houses, the flowing river, it does make for quite a spectacular view. I've got to say, we're recording this in July. It's really hot. It's only 10:30 in the morning and it's already around 30 degrees. So sun cream at the ready. And I think we need to get down there to find a bit of shade. And about halfway down the hill, just pause and look to the left, because overlooking the river is the remains of a Roman theatre. The place really is in ruins actually, but below it there is a museum of archaeology that you can go inside. And from my vantage point here, I see that they've actually set up an arena, a stage, and some seating around the remains of the theatre for a performance perhaps later this weekend. Although I've got a different sort of performance in mind this evening, which I'll tell you about a bit later. Coming here to San Stefano Church and being on this side of the river gives a whole different perspective of Verona, because it shows parts of the city that aren't really on the tourist trail. Well, these places do get their fair share of visitors, but they're nowhere near as in the abundance as they are on the other side. And San Stefano is quite a special place, very unusual church, because down here we have the pews, and then there's a kind of large staircase going up to the altar at the back with chapels at the side. This place dates back to the 6th century, and in fact it was Verona's cathedral until the big one was built in the 12th century.
In the most popular destinations, you'll often find loads of tourist agencies trying to sell you day trips. But it's often much cheaper and more fun to use public transport if it's available. One tip is to use an online map on your phone, tapping the destination and see if there's a local bus, train or boat to take you there. In many places you can buy tickets online or use your contactless card on departure.
This is Travelcaster.
This is Travelcaster.
This is Travelcaster,
This is Travelcaster.
the travel pod that takes you there.
Now, once you've done Santa Stefano Church, my tip for you is not to go back over the old Ponte Pietra bridge, but to stay on this side of the Adige River and take a walk along the bank, because from here you get a whole different view of Verona. When you're in the hustle and bustle of the main city, well, there are tourists all around you. Along here by the river, there's hardly anybody, and it's the middle of the day. And I've just seen 3 dinghy loads of school children paddling below the bridge here, waving and cheering as they went by. Rather nice. And from here as well, you get a splendid view of the Duomo, the cathedral, which is undergoing a bit of TLC at the moment. There's a little bit of scaffolding. Always seems to happen when we do a Travelcaster podcast. Nevertheless, it does look splendid in the sunshine today. And it's just a way of getting away from the crowds. On the other side of the river, might stop for a coffee here, because once again, it's going to be cheaper on this side of the bridge than it is on the other. Now, when it comes to powerful families in Italy, you might think of the south of the nation and, that lot. But here, the powerful decided to be buried in some rather spectacular surroundings. Just off the Piazza de Signori is the Scaligeri tombs. This is where the Scala family decided to end their days, with these elegant Gothic style structures right outside the church. They really do dominate the landscape and really take over the architecture of the church itself. Towering into the sky, they're elegant structures, and atop several of them are horses with members of the family on top of them. This is one of the most visited places in Verona, by the way. All around me are different flags from different tour groups and guides giving out the stories in different languages. So if you're here at a busy time, don't expect to get a selfie on your own. Not far from the tombs, you'll find this beautiful little square containing the Palazzo della Ragione, and a tower that you can climb up. And at this time of the day, some rather nice music from a man playing the cello. Eventually in Verona you will come to the centre of the city, the Piazza Bra, an enormous open space full of restaurants selling touristy meals at touristy prices. But the real sight is just to your right. The arena. It is absolutely stunning. This was built in the year 30 and is the 3rd largest of its kind anywhere in the world. An enormous elliptical piece of beautiful engineering and beautiful architecture that still stands today. And next to it, a cute little park where there are fountains. Some of them ornamental, some of them to fill your water bottle with. And in the corner of that park, the Olympic rings. Bit of a mystery because Verona has never hosted the Olympics, so why are the rings here? Well, I can tell you. 2026, the Winter Olympics were hosted in Milan and Cortina, not too far from here. And it was decided that the most appropriate venue for the closing ceremony would be the arena here in Verona. Hence the rings. Stand by for a selfie. This is Travelcaster coming to you today from Verona in Italy. There are loads of destinations for you to discover at travelcaster.blog, where you'll also find all of the details of today's destination. Now, a little bit earlier we were talking about avoiding those tourist traps around the Piazza Bra, but just behind the opera, I would suggest of an evening, Via Leoncino is one of the places that you could visit for drinks and dinner. That's because it's right next to the opera, it's right next to all the tourist attractions, but it's significantly cheaper. At least some of the places down here are. Here, for instance, we have a lovely bar called the Meriguta de Medlis. Some nice beers and a club sandwich on sale, less than €15. You could have a nice dinner with that. A little bit further down though, a bit more stylish, La Griglia. This is a grill house or steak house, if you will, and it does serve the most delicious cuts of beef. I've just had one. It wasn't the cheapest in the world, but hey, I'm on holiday. Now here's something you don't hear on Travelcaster very often. Fancy a night at the opera? Well, when in Verona, there's only one thing to do, and that's to get a ticket for here at the arena. It is Thursday night, just before 9 o'clock, and hundreds of people are queuing up to get into this magnificent place to watch a performance of La Traviata. So a few tips if you're going for the opera experience. Number one, get here early. There are huge queues and it's going to take you about 20 minutes to get in. There's security as well when you get to the door. Now the tickets here are the cheapest ones. €35 I paid for this, and it's what's known as being up in the gods. I mean, I'm right at the top of the arena, looking down on absolutely everything below. The only thing that's higher than me is the lighting rig. If you suffer from vertigo, this may not be for you, but this is an experience not to be missed if you're in Verona. Down below me, the actual floor of the arena, where the gladiators and the lions and all the bad stuff used to happen. Today, that's the posh sheets. These people have paid about €300 or €400 for those. I'm quite happy up here. It's nice and cool too. Well, that was all rather splendid, and the audience seemed to enjoy it as well. Do bear in mind, though, if you're coming to one of these operas, they do go on for a bit. La Traviata, almost 3 hours, and the performances don't start till 9:15 in the evening, so you'll have to plan that into, whatever you want to do afterwards, including getting back to your hotel or your base. Well, back at the hotel now after what has been a long and sweltering first day in Verona. What a city though, really easy to get around, loads to see, and yes, a few places to find a bit of shade from the heat that we've had today. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Travelcaster, but there is more of our Italian adventure to come as we continue our journey in this season. To find out how to get here and what to do when you arrive, check out travelcaster.blog, subscribe to the podcast, and join us again soon for another edition of Travelcaster, the travel pod that takes you there.